In a recent video, I showed you my attempt at a sniper PVE build, the Murder Hornet. Today we're going to go over the build, we're going to talk about all the details, so you can either work on it yourself or replicate it if you want to. Today's video is sponsored by SecretLab. We all strive for the best possible gaming experience, but the importance of a good quality chair is often underestimated. SecretLab produces some of the most comfortable and high quality gaming chairs you can get. So upgrade your commander chair today and fly in style and comfort. Follow the link in the video description to their store, type in your height, your weight, and it will tell you which chairs fit you for the best possible seating experience. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. So in a recent video, click up here, I showcased this build, which is the Murder Hornet, and my first attempt at a sniper build. Not the most effective. This is definitely not a build you want to use if you want to be effective at your bounty hunting or expect to do fast kills or anything like that. This is more of a proof of concept, and then you can take the learnings that I've made and you can work with them yourself if you want to. But let's dive right into the build, and I want to start by talking about the choice of ship. You are going to need a very, very heat efficient ship. A lot of you guys asked in my showcase, oh, could you do this on this ship or do this on that ship? And in most cases, you probably can't, because the way this is set up, you are going to be very, very hot, and you're going to need a ship with very good cooling capabilities. Therefore, the Diamondback Explorer, probably one of the best heat managed ship in the game. First of all, if we're going to look at the hardpoints, I have 3 medium-sized railguns. One of the issues I ran into, one of the first version of the build, when I was running Super Penetrator, you can see here, if we go look at the modifications, that I'm running long-range plasma slug. Long range should be pretty self-explanatory. We try to do a sniper build. And I was running Super Penetrator at the beginning, but with only like 1 shot loaded and then 80 shots available in reserve that you can load later on, it was quite limited, and you will eat through that ammo very, very quickly. So that's why I decided to go plasma slug instead. The main reason for it is that reduced thermal load here, minus 40%. That is absolutely crucial that we get that. And secondly, of course, because we have plasma slug, we now use fuel instead of ammo. And next we have the utility mounts. Now, we are running shieldless, and that means we are very, very vulnerable to something like missile attacks, and we need to be able to deal with that, and that's why we have the point defense. You could, of course, make do with less point defense, but I'm fitting 3 basically just to increase my coverage. You can see 2 of them are located out here on the wings. Now, the Diamondback will fold up these wings, they will become more level when you actually retract your landing gear, but still, while they do have good coverage to either side because the wings are sloped outwards, they don't have a specifically good coverage forward, and anything below the ship is just not covered at all. So there is no chaff, or there's no utility mounts on the other side. We have one back here at the tail. So that's why I also have one here at the forehead of the ship. While it doesn't cover the underside, it does mean everything in front of us, even though it might be slightly below us, will still be able to be hit by this point defense. So that just means whenever I see incoming missiles, I need to try and get it as much above me as possible to try and make sure that they are in the cone of fire of my point defense to prevent that damage from coming in. In the last one, I put a chaff just for some extra defense. If people begin to fire at us, we can fire chaff and try to mitigate some of that damage. The core internals are relatively straightforward. We are running shieldless, so we're going to be relying on our armor. Therefore, we have a reactive surface composite armor engineered with thermal resistant deep plate. This gives a nice even resistance. We're going to look at that after we looked at all the modules, so you can see that. Again, deep plating for extra armor, and the other one just to balance out the resistance. For the power plant, here we actually have a grade 5 low emission monstret. That is enough to keep this thing flying, and it gives it a very good heat efficiency of 0.14. This means that we don't generate a lot of heat from using this power plant, which is absolutely crucial to keep this ship cold as we're firing these railguns, which does generate a significant amount of heat. Next, the thrusters, 4-way thrusters, and these are engineered with clean drive and drive distributor. Again, the clean drive to get us that thermal load reduction, again, minus 60% here. Very crucial, again, to get that thermal load down so we can keep running as cold as possible. And again, drive distributor just gives us a slightly better performance in this case, so that's why I went with that. For the frameshift drive, that should be pretty standard. What we have here, we have increased range and mass manager. So this is just to get a little bit of jump range out of the ship. As you can see down here at the bottom, it's pretty good. We're 40 plus on a combat ship. That's very good. Life support with a 3D with lightweight. Nothing special there. The power distributor is weapon focused and cluster capacitor. Again, just because, again, we're not running with its shields, so we don't really need that. And because we are trying to stay cool, we are not going to be boosting because the majority of the time we're going to be running in reverse or, well, I don't know. So you're not going to be boosting a lot. So we don't really need the fast recharge on the engines. And that's why we've gone with weapon focused also to help feed those power hungry railguns. The sensors is the only place where you might want to do something different. I've gone with a 3D sensor here with long range, which is just fine. It gives me 8.5 kilometer range, and I can spot larger ship, which is what we're going to mainly be shooting at in this build, way out beyond our maximum shooting range. So this is fine. You could go even longer range if you wanted to, but again, there's no point in you being able to spot anything out at 14 kilometers if you can't shoot at it anyway. So I've gone with 3D long range. Next up, optional internals. First of all, a 4C fuel tank. Again, might seem like a weird choice, but this is my ammo. Remember that we have plasma slugs on the rails. This means this is my ammo. So this is just giving me more time in the builds or wherever I'm trying to kill NPCs before I have to go back for refuel. Then, of course, we have a lot of armor. We had some hull reinforcement plates, and all the hull reinforcement plates have all been engineered with heavy-duty deep plating. So a 4D hull reinforcement plate, a 3B auto field maintenance unit. I think maybe I should have swapped that out for an A. You should look into maybe they should swap that out for an A. That might actually be a mistake. But anyway, we have more hull reinforcements. We have a little bit of module reinforcement, even more hull reinforcement, and that's pretty much it. Everything here is either that auto field maintenance unit. We have the 2 class 2s, which are module reinforcement. The rest is hull reinforcement. Now, first, I just want to show you the power priority loadout here. You can see here that I put the AFMU, the frameshift drive, as well as the cargo hatch in power priority 2. This means when we deploy our weapons, you can see here we have a total power usage of 117%. But when we deploy our weapons, that means our cargo hatch will not work. The AFMU will stop working, and the frameshift drive will not work either. But we don't need those modules anyway when we're fighting. If we need to use the AFMU, we will just retract our weapons, do our repairs, and then go back to fighting once we're fully repaired. We don't have any cargo, so the cargo hatch is no use for us, really. And again, the frameshift drive will also come back online automatically when you stow your weapons, so you can jump out. Just keep in mind that you can't do a fast jump out. You need to give the frameshift drive like 10 seconds to reboot after you stow your weapons. Fire groups are pretty straightforward. We have a single fire group with just all the railguns in primary fire. That's all I have. And if we go over to the ship and look at the stats, we can of course see no shields, 2,100 armor hit points, with resistances all in the 40 to 41% across the board, nice and balanced, giving us a pretty decent armor. I mean, fighting anacondas, it's uncommon that I go down to more than 90, like 193%, if they come close for a bit. And remember that the main part of your tanking is just being outside the range of the enemy weapons. Keep your distance, keep firing, and eventually they will blow up. I will, of course, provide you with a link in the description for this build, so you can go and you can play around with it yourself. But as I said in the beginning, it's not a practical build. It's not something that's intended to be efficient at NPC hunting at all. This is meant as a theoretical exercise, as a proof of concept that can then be built upon later, and maybe someday somebody's going to come up with something useful built upon this. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give a like, subscribe, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.